Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. To those of you that have subscribed and watched my previous videos, thank you so much. To those that are new, welcome. I encourage you to watch what I've posted before and to continue watching my posts as time goes on. So as some of you may know, my name is Primrose. I'm a PhD student at the University of Cape Town, enrolled with the Department of Political Studies. And what I'm trying to do with this channel is to share, based on my personal experiences, advice that is linked to academics. And you'll see that in previous editions, I've given advice to freshers, that's first year university students. I've spoken about my career journey. I've spoken about choosing majors in the field of political studies. And I think that now is a convenient time to speak about research. Now, I have decided to embark on a journey where I share, based on my experiences with doing research, how to go about doing research in academia. And so this is the first of a 10-part series that will include different elements that form part of a dissertation or a thesis, whatever the case may be. This also applies to those people that are going to be writing research projects for their honors degrees. So I'm trying as much as I can to cater to different sections of academia. Now, just to give you a hint of what the topics will look like for the 10-part series. So today I'm going to be talking about finding a topic. The second segment will speak about creating a proposal, and the third part will be about the literature review. The fourth one will look at a research design. The fifth will look at data collection. The sixth will look at data analysis. The seventh will look at findings. The eighth one will look at recommendations. The ninth rather will look at editing, and the 10th part will be about looking at revision recommendations that come back after external examination or internal examination of your research projects, theses, dissertations, etc. So why I decided to split it into these different parts is so that you look at one video, you think about it, process it, and by the time that the next episode comes, you'll be able to connect the dots. And it's also just part of the realistic frame of things. It goes in stages. As much as some people like writing sort of like in a random way, putting things together, connecting the dots here and there, but I think the structure will actually be very helpful, and I am going by all means to try and use simple language. Academia is known by some to be highly inaccessible, and I am trying to sort of like destroy that. So not in a bad way. There is important jargon that is field specific, important jargon that is academia specific, and I think where I bring up concepts or ideas that may sound foreign to some of you, I will try as much as I can to explain what they mean, so it will still be relevant. Now, about finding a topic, I've been receiving a lot of messages from people that are like, I want to find a topic, and I think I have a big head about this. I'm just like, how are you enrolled when you don't know the topic that you want to choose? But I think that was a bit naive, because I was forgetting that I have not always known what to do research on. So I think usually students have a lot of research ideas, or sometimes you just have a brain freeze, or you had a topic that you were passionate about, but all of a sudden you just realize it's not your thing anymore, and that is totally fine. So I think there are 4 different ways of finding a topic. So first of all, I'm a fan of finding a supervisor first before you can sort of like get around with your decision. And obviously you can't go to a supervisor without knowing what their field of interest is, what their research has been on, and you need to then go to them with research suggestions that match their interests, or if they're not matched with their interests, they should be at least somehow linked to their interests. So for example, you're a gender studies student and there are 4 types of supervisors that are available. Someone who looks at sexual and reproductive health rights, someone who looks at gender and politics, someone who looks at queer feminism, and let's say the 4th looks at, I'm thinking of a topic from the top of my head, okay, let's stick to those 3. So now you're a student, let's say you are interested in doing a topic on women in conflict zones. It's a no-brainer. You go to the one who's doing gender and politics. And then maybe you are someone who is interested in looking at stuff like sex work, but then the supervisor who's looking at queer feminism may not necessarily be looking at stuff like sex work. So you may want to toe the line between approaching them, the queer feminist, and the one who looks at gender and politics, and see how you can frame topics that are sex work based on their interests. And that's something that requires dialogue, or not just you sitting in front of a computer. And I know some academics are inaccessible, but I just always pray. I'm like, God, I want to go speak to Professor XYZ, and this is my topic, and I want them to speak to me. And fortunately, it has always worked. Where the door is shut, find other ways. And then, so my personal experience was that when I was doing my honors, I had wanted to do a topic on gender and development. Now, there were only 3 supervisors available. One doing gender, peace and justice, one was doing queer feminism, and the 3rd was doing sexual and reproductive health rights. Now, my angle when I thought about development, I wanted to do research on rural women's livelihood options. So there was no one that could work for me, and the department made it clear that you had to choose a topic that was in line with the 3 available supervisors. So I read up on sexual and reproductive health rights because I thought, oh, maybe like, you know, it's development related, it could be something I want to look at. And then I looked at what that supervisor was providing, and she was a very friendly person, and she had taught us courses on research design. So I went, approached her, and I ended up coming up with a topic that was based on sexual and reproductive health rights. And to that end, I had a very good honors project. I got a high first pass in it, and I ended up writing my first academic journal article based on it as well. So sometimes it doesn't have to be your initial favorite that you go for. So that's an example of a supervision-based choice or supervision-based way of finding a topic. Number 2, looking at what the university or the department you're in offers. So that's also still in line with available supervision, but sometimes they have a range of topics that they list, and it might be a way to sort of like just pick your brain, because when you have a range of topics that they've listed, it also sometimes has like a link to what other students who've done research in those areas have done. So your research is basically to look at what topics are available, what can I pick from this, read what others have written, and try and come up with a topic yourself. But the idea now is to not copy. What I can say is that the closest you can get to copying what has already been done is, say someone has done an analysis of electoral violence in the DRC, and maybe you think that research on electoral violence in Zimbabwe has not been done or is under research. You can sort of like look at that for inspiration. Let's say there's a lot that has been written about electoral conflict in the dispute resolution links to electoral conflict in Kenya, but not much has been done on new cases such as Malawi, then that's a very good topic to run with based on inspiration on what the university or the department has available. Number 3, picking a topic based on what you love, your passion, your favorites, stuff that sparks your interest, and maybe the fields that you've always said, this is my thing. So I was someone who loved thinking about livelihoods of migrants. I always struggled and battled with the politics of my identity because I had been a migrant in like 4 different countries in less than a decade. So I really wanted to look at migration policy, and I was living in South Africa, and I was thinking about Zimbabweans who were undocumented, and I was thinking about documentation processes and that how they are highly based on South Africa's interest in protecting or safeguarding access to citizenship. So, which often sidelines people that migrate to South Africa but may not have critical skills, economically marginalized sections of migrant populations such as women, traders, domestic workers and stuff like that. So my master's topic was based on that, because I was like, I'm going to do migration policy analysis and that's it. Now, another trick, the department I was in international relations. So I needed to find a way to link it to foreign policy, because I can't just have a standalone migration policy analysis thesis as if I'm coming from a department of sociology, or that I'm in a department that does human development or human geography and stuff like that. So I'd find critical lenses that were in international relations, that look at international migration and look at migration policies. And in that way, for me to integrate foreign policy, I had to look at engagements between the government of Zimbabwe and South Africa during the time when South Africa was creating a special payment program for Zimbabweans. So that's how I managed to link it to my field of interest. So yes, you can have a favorite, but you need to link it back to the degree you're
Now,
doing.
in addition to the suggestions that I've made, that you can find a topic based on the supervision available, the department or university's offerings, your favorites or your interests. The fourth one is on funding. So some people, you're already doing a master's, PhD, honors, or whatever program that is funded by an organization, by a university, by a research institute, by some corporate. You might want to pick a topic based on their interests. So if it's a mining corporation like Anglo-American, do your research based on their work. Like, what kind of stuff can you get from their departments that are relevant to your field of interest also, or your field of study, and pick it up from there. If you're doing a degree that is funded by an organization that deals with HIV/AIDS issues, do a topic linked to that. Find an area of interest within that. If you're doing research that is being funded by an epidemiology section, let's say in public health, do stuff that relates to pandemics. For example, right now we've got COVID-19 and so forth and so forth. So that's another way that you can sort of like go around it. So just to take you back to what the 10-part series of my episodes on dissertation and thesis writing will look at. Number 1 is finding a topic. So I have to look at my notes again. Number 2 is the research proposal. Number 3 is the literature review. Number 4 is research design. Number 5 is data collection. Number 6 will be on data analysis. Number 7 will be on findings. Number 8 is recommendations. Number 9, editing. And number 10 is on how to work with reviewers' feedback. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not done so yet.